What's up guys, this is Yasin, and today we're going to be going over OCG metagame breakdown number 1 and 2. I think this one actually got edited a little because I remember some numbers and statistics and everything. They were not exactly like the same as what we're going to be seeing right now. If I recall correctly, maybe not, but whatever. I think it changed a little bit. Maybe like the data was a little incorrect at first. So, you know what? It's not really the end of the world that I'm late on this one. I'm going to give myself this excuse. But yeah, anyways, before we go any further, as always, you know the drill, smash the like and subscribe button, check out my blue eyes Crystron and Lunite spreadsheet on my website, yacineygo.com. And with that being said, let's get right into it. So, first things first, this breakdown covers 169 top-performing decks from 39 tournaments during the span of the last 2 weeks. And obviously, Vanquish tool is still a #1 deck. Obviously, it makes a lot of sense. It's really good going first and second. It's pretty consistent, but the reason why Vanquish tool is so good is because it's so resilient. It can do turn 0 actions such as Holy Sue, summon a Raisin, and then destroy a monster in the same column, and then bounce back the Raisin to summon the Caesar, and then destroy another card on the field, on top of, you know, Izuna into Lupus, into Yacineygo to steal a monster. I mean, attach it underneath, kind of like Cyber Dragon Infinity, and it doesn't target, which is ridiculous. So that's already like 3 disruptions, and obviously you have like your other hand traps like Ash, etc. And you're plussing like crazy, so sometimes you can interrupt your opponent 5 times, and then start your turn with like 5 cards in hand. It's, what a time to not be alive, huh? Yeah, so Vanquish Soul is pretty degenerate indeed. Yummy is at number 2, and the reason why Yummy is the other deck that can compete really well with Vanquish Soul is simply because of the fact that it doesn't activate any monster effects in the hand or grave, so it'll never play into Izuna, which really plays into her favor, because if you have to deal with everything that the Vanquish Soul deck is doing on top of Izuna, you're in a really bad position. And also, Yummy has a lot of tools in order to, you know, play through the turn 1 Holy Sue to summon the Raisin and then destroy one of your monsters or whatever. Like, it has a lot of nice extenders. Like, for example, if you activate Obedience Cooled, well, first of all, you're not necessarily mad if it gets ashed necessarily, because you can either activate a second one, because for some reason it is not once per turn, which is crazy, or you can just normal summon a monster or activate a Hornet or whatever, because it only locks you when it's special summoned, so it's really not too bad for you. But yeah, Yummy is actually a very good deck. I have had my eyes on this deck for quite a while, and honestly, I would just play it pure. I would not try to mess around with like any other engines. Like, I've seen someone get top 4, I think, or like top 8 or something at like the Asian WCQ, I believe, with Fiendsmith Yummy, and it didn't really feel impressive at all. Actually, it was really disappointing. And the synergy, I guess I can kind of see it, you know, like you make any Link 1 in the game, and then you can special summon like your Yummy monsters from the hand, and then you Yummy combo. So I guess if you can summon a Requiem, it can make sense, but it doesn't necessarily make it good. The way I want to play Yummy myself is with 16 starters, 4 engine requirements such as the 2 field spell and the 2 Yummy surprise, and then 20 non-engine. I think that's like the cleanest way to do it. The non-engine can be everything. It can be hand traps, it can be board breakers, it can be whatever you feel like it. So Yummy is a very flexible deck. It's very technical as well, very complicated, just like K9 Vanquish Soul. And I want to say that's like the theme of the next format, Justice Hunters. Every deck is like super tricky to play, whereas right now with you know, the Alliance Insight decks, and yes, I called it Alliance Insight, not Duelist Advance, because Duelist Advance is not a real set. It didn't change anything. It really just supplemented the already existing decks. But yeah, Alliance Insight decks, such as Reizo, Mitsurugi, and Malice, those decks, you can be a monkey and still play them. I will make a video in depth on why I think that is the case. Anyways, speaking of Malice and speaking of monkeys, honestly, I won't lie. Malice is like the one deck that is like somewhat complicated, but it's not like too complicated. It's still relatively simple. And also, this deck has been around for so long that I think everybody can at least understand like the usual combos, whereas honestly, with a deck like Yummy, I would not be surprised if even like pro players would religiously misplay with this deck, because it's not just a matter of, you know, making your turn 1 end board and then FTKing your opponent. Like with Yummy, you're interacting a lot on your opponent's turn, so you're almost playing just as much on your opponent's turn as you are on your own turn, whereas with Malice, that is not true at all, because your end board is Exodia, and a lot of players will not even try to interact with it, because even if you miss, the interactions are way too strong. With Yummy, however, the interruptions are somewhat manageable, and the monsters are relatively small, so there are some win conditions conditions against Yummy going second, it is actually possible to crack the board. Malice is obviously a really good deck in the OCG, even if they have like one Dormouse, doesn't change anything. It's a broken deck. It'd be argued that it is even like the best deck if you don't get hit by Lancia and stuff. And also it's very good into all the K9 decks because you'll never play into Izuna since obviously your Malice engine doesn't activate any effects in the hand or grave. Well, I mean, I guess backup and Wizard, but whatever. Lunite in number 4 makes a lot of sense because Lunite is a hardcore combo deck. I guess you can kind of say hardcore combo. I mean, maybe like mid-core combo. The deck is very complicated to play, which is why I made a Lunite spreadsheet, which you can check out on my website. But yeah, it's a very good deck. It's not too bad against K9 Vanquish, so you do have some win conditions. The issue with the Yummy matchup is Herald of the Arclight, however, but it can see some wins with heavy polymerization, and I think the deck is ultra consistent. It's like virtually impossible to break with a deck like Lunite. I think this deck is the nuts. Sky Striker in number 5. I mean, it's a very good deck into a lot of non-engine cards. The issue with Sky Striker is that it has some flaws. Like, it loses to itself. It's not necessarily the most consistent. It feels a little too fair, and I mean, yeah, it's almost like better going second than first, but at the same time, are you really trying to go second against like these decks? I don't know, man. They're kind of scary. Maybe you can go second against Yummy pretty well because it's not the most overpowered, but it also depends on like what tech cards you're playing. Like if you're playing hand shops, it's not gonna be great against Yummy, but if you're main decking Dark Ruler with like spell cards Turbo and like triple tactic thrust and talent, then yeah, you can definitely wipe the floor with Yummy, but then that means that your deck sucks against Lunite because board breakers are not good against monsters that are unaffected by card effects, obviously, no shit. Anyways, Dragon Tail, yeah, that deck, I'm actually kind of shocked to see it below Sky Striker because I think in the TCG what's gonna happen is that Dragon Tail is going to be exactly on par with K9 Vanquish Soul and potentially Yummy. I think Yummy is going to be like one of the worst out of the 3 just because we don't have Sky Striker Ace Camellia. Again, that doesn't mean that Yummy is like the worst deck. It's just going to be like one of the less played and one of the decks with like the most exploitable flaws, because if you hit them with it's Contact C, yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's really a wrap because if you make an SP Little Knight, think about it. You can't use SP to banish yourself, and now you can't point it down, which means that you can't summon the Link 1, which means that you lose, and losing is bad. Winning is good, right? Remember that, kids. Anyways, K9 Crystron, obviously, best deck, right? K9 Crystron has a lot of benefits behind it. For example, it's ridiculously resilient and consistent. As a matter of fact, it's actually the most resilient and consistent deck in the entire game right now. The only issue that K9 Crystron has that K9 Vanquish Soul doesn't have is that K9 Vanquish Soul, only with engine, it can crack boards going second. K9 Crystron, I'm not gonna lie, if all you have is engine, you're probably not cracking a board of 7 disruptions. That is not gonna happen. Yes, that's a little bit of an issue, because K9 Vanquish Soul, what's gonna happen is that you crack like half of the board on your own turn, and then on your opponent's turn, you use like the cards that you already have, like the Holy Sue that you can summon again on your opponent's turn, whatever, and then you keep interacting, you survive, and then you eventually grind it out. So this is how K9 Vanquish Soul is playing going second, whereas K9 Crystron, yeah, that doesn't really happen, because other than Izuna, you don't have like too many hand traps that give you a lot of stability and summon themselves, etc. Anyways, White Forest, I think this is one of the crappiest combo decks. One of the worst good decks that you can play. It just plays a lot of bricks, and it has some consistency issues too, actually. It's very far from perfect. Despia, whatever, it's a pretty good deck. I actually have looked into Dragon Tail Despia. I've seen a feature match in the OCG where it played against like Memento K9. And I mean, yeah, the deck actually looks pretty legit, but again, they have Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, so it doesn't really give like a good representation of Despia. They have Gimmick Puppet Nightmare and Branded Expulsion and Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. It's actually stupid. They shouldn't have everything. Yeah, whatever. Onomat Raziel, obviously, this deck is... It gained a little bit in popularity because the TCG has started... the TCG has done a lot of things with the deck. And then Hero, whatever, the new support is pretty good. I've seen a lot of replays with Hero, so it is definitely something to keep in mind. It's actually really cool to see it in like the top 10-ish best decks. Primal Blue Eyes, this deck is actually not too bad if you go first against K9 Vanquish Soul, because if you have Blue Eye Spirit Dragon, they cannot go Joe Cool effect because it special summons 2 monsters at the same time. So I guess Blue Eye Spirit for one time, for once, it's finally gonna be you know, doing something with its continuous effect. Anyways, Armegia, whatever. Lunwing Azamina. I don't even know. Is this even a deck? What the hell? Malice Code Talker. Why is this like not inside the Malice? So this should be a 19, not 17. 2 Orchist. I think this deck is horrendous. So the issue that I have with Orchist is that it feels like it's a broken deck when you play against it, and they draw like Harpor and Girsu and like the good cards. But then when you play the deck and when you don't see those cards, you're playing like a really terrible deck. I think Wilfredo's deck list is like one of the best solutions to like approaching Orchist, because it's like a deck that plays like 20 something non-engine, and then you also have like the Fiendsmith engine. Apart from that, if you're playing like pure Orchist, your deck is actual dog shit. So yeah, you're playing like an Orchist deck that is supposed to play like Dominus Impulse, but if you play Dominus Impulse, then you know what are the other engines that you're playing? Obviously you can play Orchist Mitsurugi. It's a really cool deck. Yeah, I don't really expect the Mitsurugi engine to like survive the Banlist. Anyways, Atlantean, blah blah blah, a lot of relevant decks. Ray Raptor is pretty nice, and I mean, apart from that, whatever, it's not really relevant. Okay, so Vanquish Soul, the new OCG banlist really did absolutely nothing. It's the one that banned Paradise Smasher. All it really did was allow you to FTK your opponent when you were getting Maxed or Chummied. I was never seeing anyone summon Paradise Smasher when they were in a good position, because the goal is to make Ripper so that, you know, you can develop your combo even further, and that actually has a higher likelihood, because if all you've got is Paradise Smasher, then you're playing into, I mean, quite literally any one interaction that your opponent can have. Like, if you get Chummied and then you use 3 monsters for 1 rank 5, your opponent is just going to go Izuna into Lupus, into Nationite Steel, and then you lose the game. Whereas if you go into Ripper, you're applying more pressure. So, yeah, it's just like the play that people have to do under the Chummies and Maxis, because they gotta go big or go home. If they don't try, they're going to lose. But yeah, that's all it really did. The OCG ban list was a complete joke. And the reason for that is because they've got product to sell. I don't know if you guys have seen, but there are some new Dragon Tail cards in, I think, Doom of Dimensions, which probably hints at new Vanquish, no, maybe not new Vanquish Soul cards, but new K9 cards, potentially, and new Yummy cards. And the new Dragon Tail cards are actually quite legit. I'm probably going to review them in a separate video, or maybe wait until we get some new Yummy or Dragon Tail cards, sorry, Yummy or K9 cards. I'm extremely stupid. For this deck list, this is how, like, the OCG Vanquish Soul K9 deck has stabilized itself. I've seen a lot of, like, 1 Caesar and 2 Heavy Burger, so I think this is set in stones. And then the 3 Holy Su and 3 Jalong is always going to be a must in the deck, just because you need a lot of level 5 monsters. And for Jalong, you also need some fire monsters, because you don't actually play any other fire monsters other than Ash and Raisin. So that gives you 9 fires in total, and you need 2 fire monsters for your deck to really pop off with Jalong, and that excludes itself. So that's like 6 other copies, I think, or maybe 7. There you go. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is like the one problem with K9 Vanquish Soul. If you don't draw like one of the instant juice cards, like Raisin, Mad Love, Stake Your Soul, or Reinforcement of the Army, or I guess you can say Prosperity, it's very difficult to actually get the Vanquish Soul portion of the deck into rotation. Because the K9s, what they do is that they give you a very high floor, but not necessarily a high ceiling. The high ceiling actually comes for the Vanquish Soul cards, because the Vanquish Soul cards, bro, it's pressure every single turn. On your own turn, a Holy Su summons from deck. On your opponent's turn, a Holy Su can either again summon from deck or steal a monster. Doesn't target either, which is ridiculous insanity. And the most disgusting thing that you can do is turn 0, Holy Su, steal an opponent's Lupus. So that's 1 disruption, and then you use the opponent's Lupus that you stole in order to quick Xyz with the Holy Su, because they are conveniently both level 5, and then you make Nationite, and then you steal another monster. Like, why is this legal? For the hand traps, I mean, 1 Nibiru, 1 Phantasme, you don't necessarily need to play them. You can play something else if you want to. Phantasme has been actually pretty disappointing from what I've seen. A lot of people are not even, like, trying to play into it, but that's the reason why just a 1-of. It's like, oh, are you going to play around it, or are you not going to play around it? But whatever. If the opponent, I mean, if you brick, the opponent is probably not going to play into Phantasme, just like with Salamangreat, the finals of the Worlds of 2019. Yeah. Shifter, obviously, this one is very good against quite literally every other deck, but in the mirror match, it is not the best, but it's very broken going first. And then obviously Ash and Maxi. There is no Imperm, no Veiler, no Chummies, no Droll, at least in the main deck, but in the side deck, we are seeing both Fua and Perelia. Both of these cards are remarkable in the mirror match, like actually extremely good, even though Fua was bad before against K9 Vanquish Soul. Now the problem is that they have way too much engine, so if you Fua them, they might actually just have like so many K9 or Vanquish Soul cards that they might actually just have to play into the Fua, otherwise they're not going to have enough disruptions for you. So if you're playing a hardcore combo deck, you can capitalize off of the fact that they don't play enough non-engine, And that's like one problem that I've even seen like Sunny mention in like one of his videos. He said K9 Vanquish tool has changed like since the first time like it was I guess created, I guess you can say. And yeah, now it's like you're only really playing like the bare minimum hand traps like Ash, Max C, and potentially like that's it. But yeah, that may not be enough if you want to deal with like these kinds of deck, you know, Lunite, Malice, and I guess you can say K9 Crystron. But it also depends because you still have, you know, Holy Sue as well as Izuna. However, both of these hand traps have the disadvantage of losing to both Ash as well as Dominus Impulse. These cards are very scary. So again, Lunalite can play both Ash and Dominus Impulse, meaning that you can protect yourself, mathematically speaking, from half of their hand traps pretty much, I mean, all the time. And there's no Max C in the OCG, so I think, sorry, in the TCG, so I think people are going to be main decking Pearlia instead, which obviously is the best hand trap in the mirror match, but it is horrendous against Lunite. As for the side deck, obviously there's 2 Contact C, 2 Retelling C. These cards are supposed to be there for, I mean, Retelling C is for a wide variety of matchup, and then Contact C is there for Yummy, because nobody is playing Cross Sheep in the extra deck, and nobody has a way to beat Retelling C other than, I mean, if you activate Obedient School, then you summon 3 monsters, and then your opponent goes summon Contact C, the game actually just ends on the spot. What's gonna happen is that you're gonna go okay end phase, all 3 monsters will die, and then you pass on 0 disruptions, so it's really bad for you. However, with Retelling C, there is a way that your opponent can play. Your opponent can destroy Retelling C with the Akroki, and then you're going to be searching for, I mean, in the OCG you're searching for Max C, but in the TCG you're going to be searching for Contact C, and then you're going to be giving a Contact C to your opponent, and then you can go for the Cookie in order to flip it face down. Is it Cookie? Yeah, I think it should be Cookie. Yeah, it's this one. Yeah, I've been looking a lot, like I said, into the Yummy deck, as well as a little bit into the K9 Vanquish deck. It's not really a deck that, you know, piques my interest, because I'm not really good with these kinds of decks, but I think it's a deck that everybody has to know in order to like counter it, otherwise you're going to be in a really bad position. By the way, this deck list, there is an issue with it, and it's the fact that it is main decking X-Force Liberation. If you've looked at the Japan WCQ, in the top 4 we had 2 Vanquish K9 players that played against each other. None of them main decked the Quick Play spell card. However, both of them sided it in on game 3. I don't understand. I just do not understand. Because usually, when you do not main deck a card, but you side deck it, it's for either going first or second. It's not for both. So why would both players side in X-Force Liberation? Because obviously one is going first, one is going second. I do not have the answer to that. Maybe it's just because it is extremely good in this mirror match, but not necessarily good against the other decks. But honestly, this card looks like it's broken going first, and overall very disappointing going second. So I would just side deck it over when I'm going first. But maybe, again, the mirror match is so grindy that whether you're going first or second doesn't really matter too much. You just want to have that option. But if you physically hard draw it, you are very, very screwed. Like, very, very, like, actually completely screwed. But yeah, you don't have, like, enough cards to, like, side out. Your shifter, obviously, you're gonna have to side out going second. And then, honestly, I don't really know what else. Like, you kind of have to, like, keep in all of your engine cards. You can't start siding out, like, your Jialongs or your Holy Sues, or I guess you can side out one Burger. That definitely makes sense, especially if you're bringing in like more dark monsters, which you're not. But you're bringing in Earth monsters, so that's kind of fine. But yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm kind of done reviewing K9 Vanquish. I've pretty much, I mean, everything kind of makes sense here. For Yummy, I mean, Imperm is kind of back in the deck. I've seen a lot of people combine Imperm and Nibiru against the Yummy mirror match, so they hold the Imperm for the longest time, and then the Imperm the Herald of Arclight, and then the Nib at the very end. And the reason for that is because the opponent had already set the Yummy surprise by that point, so it's not like you can really play around Nibiru any more, because whatever, like, unless you have like a Yummy name that you haven't used up, you won't be able to go into Link Spider and then summon the Yummy name and then make a level 2 synchro. That's not going to be possible. So I think Imperm Nib very specifically can be very, very good against Yummy, only because of the fact that it is completely unpredictable, and like I said, your opponent would have set the Yummy surprise, so you can't use it as an extender. So you can definitely take this to your advantage. But apart from that, I think Imperm and Nibiru, both of them are terrible to main deck, like actual garbage. It can make sense to main deck one Nibiru if you're playing the Chummies, because at least you have something to draw into, but apart from that, I don't really know what you're doing. And now this deck list, at first I was a little skeptical about it, because I'm not sure if I necessarily want to like main deck some chummies next format, just because I think board breakers are so incredibly good that you can afford to like not play these dead cards. But the more I think about it, the more I tell myself it can kind of make sense, because at least you have some decent cards to draw into, and like these cards are never really terrible. Like if you draw them going first, you can either use them, which I don't really recommend. I'm also gonna make a video on that, or you can discard them for your Cookie. Oh my god, the names in the artworks are super similar. I mean, Cookie, I guess, is like the most different one because it kind of looks like orangey, but the other ones, these two, the one that revive backs to and the one that searches to, look identical. I know the one that revives back to is Lollipop, and then the one that searches to is Cupsy, but like I said, Cupsy, Cookie, whatever, same shit to me. But yeah, this deck plays, I believe, 21 non-engine. I kind of forgot. It actually plays less starters than usual, and also it only plays one surprise. So yeah, 5, 8, 10, and then 13, 16, if my maths are correct. And then yeah, 19, 21, there you go. 21, no, 22, oh my god, holy crap, 22 non-engine. Whoa, that's ultra inconsistent, because how many starters do we have? 12, 13, yeah, that's it. No, actually, no, hold on a second, I'm stupid. No, it's 15 starters. 9, 12, 14, 15. So yeah, 15 starters, so 91.92% chance, if I recall correctly, of drawing a one-card starter. That's not enough. It means that you're breaking 8% of the time. I think these numbers are kind of like overrated. I mean, sorry, I don't really know how to like describe it, but people, they don't understand how important consistency really is. Personally, I'd rather do like 16 starters with like a second yummy surprise and then 20 non-engine. I think 22 non-engine might just be a little overkill at this point. But yeah. It's a decent deck list. Obviously, they have Camellia, so Contact C on your normal summon does absolutely less than nothing. You're just gonna make Camellia send Engage, or Hornet, preferably Engage, because it's gonna be a dead card after that. And then Kagari recycle back, and then Hornet, and then you combo off from there. So yeah, they have to use Contact C on like your Obedient Schooled, but in the TCG we don't have Camellia, so there's really nothing for you to do. If you don't have like infinite extenders, then you just lose the game on the spot. And even if yeah, no, it's just terrible. It actually is completely terrible. Contact C wipes the floor with this deck. It's broken. Metal Tronus is really unique. You can do some really nice things with it. I've seen Metal Tronus target the Link one on like the draw phase or standby, and then you summon like any yummy monster, and then you just pop off. So you break your opponent's board, and then you get your stuff going. It's like a consistency card. So if you want to side out like a lot of your engine cards, you can do that, and then you just have like more board breakers, and then you break your opponent's board, and you get your stuff going at the same time. I think this is what makes Metal Tronus one of the most unique cards to ever been printed in Yu-Gi-Oh! The fact that it can, you know, break boards while also be one card combo is just like absolutely fantastic. And then Pancratops for the mirror match. And then we've got 2 Lancia. I don't really know why, because Malice has been losing a lot in popularity, but yeah, there's no Lancia here, as you can see. And it's not even because it's not an attribute, because you're shotgunning the Lancia anyways, usually. But yeah, and there's also Dueling Logbird, whatever, which is for the other combo decks, and also K9 Vanquish Tool. It's not too bad, but it's terrible against the Yumi deck. And the going first cards are just 1 Appointer of the Red Lotus and 3 Solemn Judgment. It makes a lot of sense. Definitely understandable. Solemn Judgment, it can negate things that you're not really trying to let resolve. For example, I guess heavy polymerization and stuff like that. Yeah, you just need like more spell and trap negations. Yeah, whatever. And also Dark Ruler No More. So that's the reason why this card is like better than Solemn Strike usually. Okay, Malice, there's a combo that you can do without Appaloosa in order to beat the hand traps. I don't really care about it because it's an OCG thing, and also because I despise this deck with all my heart. But yeah, I'm not gonna be reviewing anything for this deck. You can just go check it out if you want to. But in conclusion, whatever, the Steam decks are still the best decks. And also, there's a lot of tournaments going on in China now, so we're going to keep an eye out on that. But yeah, K9 Vanquish Tool and Yummy are the nuts, and then everything else. I mean, Malice, I hope it just gets destroyed. And Lunite is an extremely good deck. Dragon Tail is also still a really good deck, and K9 Crystron is the nuts. But Sky Striker, I think it's a little less good than people give it, than people think it is. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon with another video. Peace.